Hi everybody, Peter Parks here from DNAWealthBlueprint.com, and on behalf of Andrew Fox, welcome to this module. In this module, what you're going to learn is Facebook Power PPCs do's. I'm not going to so much worry about the don'ts. I'm just going to focus on what you need to do. So in this particular aspect, when I focus on what you need to do, just do it. Don't worry about, well, what happens if I do that? Well, what happens if I do this? Don't do those other things that I'm not discussing and I'm not talking about, and you won't have any issues. If you want to test on your own dime and you want to experiment, then go for it. That's up to you. But my main intent and purpose is to tell you what to do, tell you how to do it, and then I expect you to do it, and then that's it. So that's kind of how this core training is going to be going, where we simply don't deal with the unknowns or the what ifs. We want to deal with the, what we do know, what's been tested, what's been proven. Let's rock and roll with that particular module. So, when you are looking to get into a market, you should consider the sample size of the market, the industry vertical. You should be looking at pre-framing your copy, and you should be looking at building out content-rich product landing pages. And I'm going to talk about content-rich product landing pages in later on modules, so keep that in mind. That's something to look out for because this is something that nobody that I've seen that actually does. Um, it's very important. This is the difference between you doing 3 figures a day and 5 figures a day. So keep that in mind. We're also going to be talking about your product pipeline and just a whole lot more to factor into your overall game plan. So really what it boils down to is these are the do's. Okay, so again, it's, when you're looking at the sample size of the niche, I'm talking about your reach in that particular niche. So there's no sense targeting 10 million people because that's a really large niche. And by the time you get all the ads scaled out or try to get all the ads scaled out to hit even half of that marketplace, it's going to take you quite a bit if you got a small budget, it's going to take you quite a bit. If you got a big budget and you've got deep pockets, well, of course you're going to be able to hit your numbers, but most people are not going to have the deep pockets. As I created this course, it really was a really painful thing for me to kind of sit down and say, do I teach the absolute newbie or do I go after the most advanced internet marketer, someone who's already doing 6, 7 figures and tweak them out? Or do I go after the small business owner, entrepreneur that's, doing maybe 5 figures, maybe just gonna crack 6 figures? So I thought I'd encompass everything. And as I go through the course modules with you, you're gonna see how we start from the basic building blocks, the foundation, to some really high level stuff. So stick around. You're going to be in for a really good treat. So let's move down. You should only have one page per niche, and your campaign, sorry, should be built for each target market. I.e., when you're looking at doing stuff, you want to have one campaign for split testing your copy. You want to build out one campaign for split testing your landing pages. You want to build out one campaign for your testing out your product, and so on. When you do this, you'll be able to see where you are spending the most money and how effective your spend is based on your ROI. And very few people do this on Facebook. This is absolutely one of the key things that you must do. When I talk to a lot of people and they're talked and I ask them, what is your overall game plan? What do you want to accomplish when you're doing Facebook marketing? Will tell you right now, about 95% or more of the people that I talk to, and these are people that have businesses. These are people that are very successful. They simply tell me, well, I want to drive traffic to my funnel. Okay, well, that's a pretty generic answer. The reason why you came to me and the reason why you're not getting the results you are is because you have not set yourself up your whole entire strategy. You haven't mapped it out first. So that's kind of what you want to do. So again, let's go over that is every campaign that you do in your particular niche should be built out for each target. So you should be building out a campaign for your split testing, for split testing your copy, one campaign for split testing your landing pages, and so on and so on and so on. So successful Facebook advertising rests on building a sustainable business model. You must always follow the advertising guidelines and keep in constant contact with your Facebook rep. If you have one, they will help you guide you through the most challenges before a lot of issues arise. Now, let me talk about this because there's a couple different areas to this. If you're just starting out and you don't know how to get a hold of Facebook and you don't have a Facebook rep, well, you need to use their support channels as best as you possibly can. You need to go to their Facebook blog. You need to look at the Facebook advertisers group. There's a lot of groups out there that are really revolving around Facebook that'll help you out. If you're an intermediate Facebook marketer, which means you're doing 3 figures, 4 figures a month, you know what I mean, and you want to get an advertising, you want to get a rep, well, guess what? You're going to need to scale because at the time of me recording these videos, you need to be doing at least on average consistently over $60,000 a month for at least 6 months before they're going to look at you and they're going to give you a real dedicated rep, not just somebody, not just an intern. An intern, you really kind of want to avoid the intern. So, you've got to be doing some scale. And if you're already at that point where you're doing $50,000, $60,000 a month spend with Facebook, then what you need to do is you need to get in touch with me, and I'll see if I can get in touch with my guy to help you out so that you can get a dedicated rep. Because when you get a dedicated rep, they're going to walk you over all the, most of the pitfalls, most of the quagmires, most of the murky issues that shut down a lot of people's accounts. So keep that in mind. That's how you're going to get a Facebook rep. So um, with that being said, most business models work with Facebook advertising, and the secret lies with you executing your marketing and advertising on Facebook, i.e., when you look at this, you have to say to yourself, what do you want to do as far as your intention? Do you want to build a list first? You know, will you be like a direct response marketing guy going for the sale first? Do you want to build an authority page to help engage your visitors? Let me tell you right now what kind of actually works the best. You see, when it comes to Facebook, Facebook really, at the end of the day, they couldn't give a rat's ass as to what you're promoting. What they care about is how you're promoting it. Because at the end of the day, they want to make sure that their end user and the Facebook ecosphere is being taken care of. They're not being bullied. They're not being intimidated. They're not being pressured. So it's not what you advertise, it's how you advertise the products and services. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm in some niches on Facebook and I'm advertising in those niches where I'm not supposed to be. The average person, the average general person on Facebook, they'll get their account shut down because they're actually in these particular niche markets. So just keep that in mind. It's not what you promote on Facebook, it's how you do the promotion. So again, I always like to start off if depending on your level, but I'll just preference this for all kind of levels from your beginner to your more advanced. You always want to build out an authority fan page on Facebook because you want to be able to engage the users. You want to be able to give them and provide them a ton of value. You want to be able to interact with them because this is all going to help with your quality score and your ad campaign. See, a lot of people don't realize that Facebook is pushing towards a Google AdWords model. And if you look at the actual timeline between Google AdWords and Facebook, Facebook is now starting to take some successes from Google AdWords. It's getting to the point now where there's a lot of quality score factors within your ad campaign, within your ad account, with your fan pages that you interact with. So you have to be very careful with what you're doing. So again, I would always start off and I would always recommend to my clients to build out an authority page first. When you build out your authority page first, then you can look at being either a list builder or a direct response marketer. And those are two separate classifications that we can get into on other modules, which is what I'm going to be talking about. But the first thing you always want to do is build out an authority page, because in the long term, this tells Facebook that you're around for a long time. Depending on the niches that you're getting into. And when I say build out an authority page, I mean you build out a real authority page. Okay? So another thing is, before you actually spend money and waste a lot of effort and time to see if Facebook will work for you, you need to remember to do your due diligence with your ideal market on Facebook. You got to look at a couple of things like, are your prospects and buyers already where are they already on the platform, or are they not there? If your buyers and prospects are already on Facebook and they're already in certain platforms like groups, they're doing events, then that's a really good high indicator for you that you've got some really good commercial viability, which means long term going into this niche. There's a lot of commercial intent in there because you see your buyers and you see your prospects sitting all in the pools within Facebook. You also want to make sure and look at, are your competitors already ahead of are your competitors already ahead of you? Are they already in your particular niche market? Are they gobbling up all your traffic, taking all your customers? You need to be able to look at that and say to yourself, how will you position yourself? Within every niche market, within the top 4 or 5 players within that particular niche market, there is a hole in their marketing where you can simply plug that hole, and that's going to create your profits for you. So you have to understand that there's always a marketing opportunity within every niche market. It doesn't matter how big the player is. And I'm not saying you have to go compete against the biggest players out there. What you can do is figure out, where are they not providing that value to the end customer? Because in every niche market, there are players out there that are big, that there is a segment that there's not being served. If you can find that segment and you can plug that hole and provide that value, you can create a lot of cash and a lot of goodwill on Facebook. So just keep that in mind. And then you have to look at and say to yourself, how will you leverage any competition in your favor to be profitable on Facebook? Well, basically, I'm going to give you a little secret right now how that actually works. If you want to leverage your competition and you want to be profitable on Facebook, the best way for you to do that is provide to your competition something that they don't already have. You need to find an asset that they want, or you need to have an asset that they want to acquire, and you simply work out a deal with them. You structure it in the best interest for both parties. And when you have done that, you're going to open up the floodgates to an immense amount of traffic, because your competitors, if they already built out and they already have their structure on Facebook, their presence, they're going to have a huge database. They're going to have a huge organic database. They're going to have lots of engagement. So it would behoove you to think about moving into a really high level niche, looking at the top competitors and the top players and figuring out what they don't have. Or again, I'll preface it as saying, what is it that their customers are looking for that they haven't given their customers, or they haven't seen to give to their customers? You quickly get in there, create that asset for them, and simply give it back to your competitors. Form a strategic alliance, because when you do that, your advertising spend, really, it's you can put that money back in your pocket. So instead of you're having a budget of $100 a day or $200 a day, you can, if they are big enough players and they have a big enough presence, you can tap into their own resources and get all that traffic sent back to you anyways. So you're saving yourself hundreds of dollars a day, thousands of dollars a month, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year getting free advertising on Facebook. So think about that. Also, when we talk about this, we're going to talk about the principle of leverage as well. So again, just to recap, you will need to use all the assets that you have that are available to you on Facebook to help increase your business and brand if you want to be successful. Part of that strategy, again, is all about leverage. Andrew Fox and I are high leveraged guys. we look at ways that we can leverage out other people's resources, other people's time, other people's strategies, other people's business models. And if we can put a little tweak on that, just a little bit, that's a huge ROI for both parties. So when it comes to this stuff on Facebook, you need to be able to look at that and say to yourself, where are my leverage points? So if you can look at the leverage points, then you're going to be in good stead. So with that being said, I'm going to cut this module off. And in the next module, we're going to be talking about what are the important metrics to focus on when it comes to your Facebook advertising and why. With that being said, my name is Peter Parks. On behalf of Andrew Fox, we'll see you in the next module. Take care, everybody.